And so talk about what the West's role has been in this, especially the United States and Germany, which is another player in this whole affair that hasn't gotten as much attention.
Well, the United States has been trying to pry Ukraine away from a close relationship with Russia. Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland said in December to a group of business leaders that the United States had invested $5 billion, she said, in helping Ukraine achieve its European aspirations. That is, moving it away from Russia into the EU. So obviously the United States has played a role in trying to achieve this anti-democratic transition. As much as they may call it democratic, overthrowing an elected leader is on its face not democratic. There's also the issue of the National Endowment for Democracy and other U.S.-funded political operations. NED, according to its report, has 65 projects underway in Ukraine, including training activists, supporting journalists, organizing business groups, essentially creating a sort of a shadow political structure that could be put in play to destabilize the country. And that's what we've seen here. We saw a destabilization of a country which had problems, no question, and had leadership that was very flawed. But still, instead of going through a constitutional electoral process, another approach was taken. And Yanukovych did agree after the protests turned violent. He agreed to a deal negotiated by the EU to advance the elections and to have the police stand down.
And the counter
after that, militias intervened and took power basically, and forced him to flee along with his administration.
And sorry about that, our connection cut out for a moment. But I guess so the counterpoint would be, despite the external pressure, despite the role the West has played in Ukraine, this could not have happened without this popular uprising. And some reports at least have indicated that at least there are definitely fascist groups part of this opposition movement, but it did include some broader parts of the middle and working class, at least in the Western region. And I also wanted to get your take on what's at stake here. Why is this such a vital part of economically and with the industrial base there? What exactly is at stake for the West and for Russia?
Well, I think for Russia, this is has important strategic value. It's on their border. And along the Black Sea and the Crimea, the Russians have had traditional military bases. And Crimea was historically part of Russia. It was only put into the Ukraine for more of a bureaucratic reason when they all were part of the Soviet Union, so it didn't really matter much. So you have here Russian people of Russian ethnicity who speak Russian, who feel that they essentially are Russian, who are now being put under this minority coup-generated government. And this goes back historically to many ways where the United States has overthrown elected governments in the past. And in all those cases, you could say that the elected leaders had flaws and that there was some legitimacy, there was some opposition to them, whether it was Mossadegh in Iran in 53, or Arbenz in Guatemala in 54, or Allende in Chile in 73, or Morsi a year or so ago in Egypt. And there are many, many more. Aristide twice in Haiti. So you can always cite these flawed leaders and say that there are elements in those countries that legitimately want to get rid of their elected leadership, and the United States sides with them. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good for the people of those countries ultimately. In all the cases I mentioned, I think you could argue that it was worse for them. They ended up under severe dictatorships, often fascist dictatorships. In the case of Iran, you had decades of control by the Shah of Iran. In the case of Guatemala, you had 200,000 peasants being slaughtered. You had, in the case of Chile, you had widespread repression under Pinochet. So, you don't always So while it may seem like it's all very nice that that Victoria Nuland, our Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs, goes out and passes out cookies to the demonstrators in the plaza, it doesn't always lead to what is best for the people of that country.